If you want to be able to buy the most expensive players and open the best packs in FC25, go to u7buy.com to buy your EA FC25 coins. It's cheaper than buying FC points and just as reliable. With their already amazing prices, you can get an extra 6% using promo code Inception at checkout. Guys, I'm going to keep it real with you, man. I'm about to bless you guys with the PC settings for FC, man. I'm about to bless you guys because I went down the deepest of rabbit holes to fix the problems with the PC version of FC25. And for those of you that are watching the video that are looking to fix your settings in general, this is going to fix your settings for pretty much any of the video games that you play. But for FC, very, very poorly optimized game, but I found a way to actually be able to play it, and it's still gonna be better than console no matter what anybody tells you, okay? So this video that I'm about to do today, guys, you have never seen this video anywhere, okay? I have looked through many Reddit posts, many videos on YouTube, and the problems that you have on the PC is parts of a puzzle that fits the entire puzzle. In this video, it's going to be the entire puzzle, okay? So the first thing, and this is me, I'm going to lead you guys in the right direction of all the videos that I watched and all the things that you're going to want to do, okay? The first thing that you guys are going to want to do is you are going to want to delete your NVIDIA cache, okay? So again, guys, I'm going to be leaving links to these videos. You guys have to check out these videos and to follow the instructions. Some of these videos, I don't do the entire thing that they do, but I just give you the breakdown of what they end up doing, right? So basically what this guy does is he goes into his shader cache. It's a specific folder where he just has like a bunch of residual stuff, I guess, from NVIDIA, and he basically just deletes everything, right? Because he disables the shader cache and he re-enables it over here at some point. And then when you go back into your PC games, they probably have to like re-download the shaders because you deleted them, right? So he does explain that in this video. So again, be sure to check it out. When you go back into certain games, you might have to just re-download shaders from those specific games again, right? But yeah, this definitely helped me out a little bit as well. This was like one of the first initial things that I ended up doing. So again, be sure to check this one out, okay? Okay, so the next two things I'm going to show you guys is two pieces of software that you guys are going to need for your computer to be able to do certain things, right? So both of these videos are going to be from J2Sense. He's made videos for both of these things. One is going to be Revo Uninstaller, and then the second thing is going to be Fan Control, right? So I'll be leaving a link down below. Like I said, you guys need to watch these videos, see the whole thing. He'll explain it to you perfectly, okay, how these things work. But essentially, Revo Uninstaller is basically what you should be using to uninstall programs from your computer, right? Because when you guys uninstall programs from your computer, you probably go into your applications in the bottom left corner, and then you just go to, I don't know, maybe it's like Google Chrome or something. You're like, okay, remove from computer, and you're like, okay, I'm good to go. No. Revo Uninstaller, what it does is that not only does it uninstall the application or the program or whatever it is, but it actually does an advanced scan through your computer to find all of those residual files that have been left behind in your computer, and it deletes those as well, right? So if I skim past this, you guys will see what I'm talking about, right? So he gives an example like of what it looks like, where it's like these are all his applications, right? And if he chooses to uninstall one of them by right-clicking it and then pressing uninstall, it's going to uninstall the program, and then he's going to get to a point over here where you can do an advanced scan, right? So you press the advanced scan, you scan your entire computer for those residual folders, and you can delete those as well. The reason why I'm telling you guys to download this piece of software, one, is because you need it, period. It's way better than just uninstalling applications in general, right? But this program is going to help you delete stuff that you don't even know exists on your computer. You're like, brother, I didn't even know I had this browser that I downloaded 5 years ago. Like maybe you still have Google Chrome, or you still have Opera GX and you don't use them anymore. You can uninstall those things from here, right? Maybe you have a Spotify that has like downloaded music and you're like, dude, I haven't used Spotify in so long. You can delete that from here. It's an incredible piece of software that you guys need to use. It is amazing. I used it and I cleaned up so many different things that I just haven't been using on my computer recently, and it just creates so much more space in my C drive. So again, be sure to check out this video. He will explain to you perfectly how to use it for applications that you do not need on your computer. Now be very careful. Don't delete stuff that is essential to your computer operating in general, because you're going to screw up your computer in general, right? And he explains that. So again, make sure to watch the video. Don't have the attention span of a TikTok watcher, okay? Make sure you actually watch these videos fully, okay? The ones that I'm going to show you guys entirely. So that's one for the Revo uninstaller. Okay, so the next piece of software that you guys are going to want to download is going to be called Fan Control. Fan Control has absolutely saved my computer, to be honest with you guys, right? What Fan Control is, guys, is it allows you to set fan curve speeds within your computer, okay? So I had a problem in the past where, you know, when you get a computer, guys, whether that's a pre-built or whether that's something that you built yourself, right? A lot of the times you're going to have basically a default fan curve speed and then like a default max temperature for your graphics card, right? So your GPU, which in his case would be the RTX 3080. Mine was set, or is set, to 84, which I don't mind, right? Because when I'm gaming, I don't really want to surpass like 86 or 87, because that's when it gets a little bit crazy for GPU. But if you kind of like operate around 84 degrees for your GPU, that's fine. It's not really that big of a deal. When I play FC, I can get it down to like 70 with the fan control. But if the fans are getting a little bit too annoying, I can actually make the speeds lower and just make the GPU go to 84, which is still perfectly fine, because, you know, I don't want to hear the fans being as loud, and I still want to be able to play the game properly, which you can do when your GPU is around that degrees, right? But the lower the better. You know, it just means that your computer's cooling is done really well, whether that's your fans, whether that's your case being really really open, and the exhaust and the intake for the fans is really good. Bunch of variables, right? But again, watch this video, okay? Because when I learned about fan curve speeds, when people first told me about it like 2 years ago, I didn't know what they were talking about. He will explain it perfectly, and he will teach you how to adjust it for your computer. I can't show you guys my computer and my fan curve speed because it's going to be different for every single person, because it all depends on the configuration of the fans within your tower, your case itself, your CPU cooler, your GPU, and whether it can be cooled, like many variables, right? But he's going to show you an example of where you can generally put it so that it's not too loud or too low, or it makes your GPU go too high. It's an amazing piece of software, right? I even have like 4 different profiles set up so that, let's say for instance, I'm playing FC, like I said earlier, at like 70 degrees, but my fans are way too loud and I don't want to hear it. I have another profile that will allow me to go to 84 degrees while recording, and it does not affect my gameplay whatsoever, but my fan noise is significantly lower. Could you fix the fan noise if you get like better device or better pieces for computer equipment, like Noctua fans or a Noctua PSU or a Noctua GPU, like, you know, stuff like that? Yeah, you could definitely do that. But again, this is all dependent on the computer that you have. He will go through it. He will explain to you perfectly how you can regulate the temperature of your CPU and your GPU by mixing the fan curve speed, right? He's going to show you exactly how to do that by mixing the two, right? So fan curve speed is basically, as an example, it's like this, right? So the percentage that you see on the left-hand side, that's basically what your fan curve, what your fans are going to operate at, while your computer is set to a specific degrees, right? So in his case right now, his degrees is set to 45 degrees Celsius for the CPU. So his fans are going to operate at like whatever this is, like 35%, right? But the higher and higher you go, it's going to start to adjust to that. I can show you guys an example of what mine currently looks like. It looks like this as like one of the examples, right? So you can see that I have my CPU set up, my GPU set up, and then I have the mix, right? So the mix is both of these together, but it's going to operate based off of, again, whichever device is higher in the degrees part. Now, I'm basically idling right now, so it doesn't really make a whole lot. Actually, no, it does make sense that I'm 71 degrees Celsius because I'm actually recording right now. But, you know, I have other profiles, right? Where, let's say, for instance, I want it to be a little bit crazier because this is the new testing one, right? I want it to be crazier to really lower my GPU, I would basically load up this one because I've set up different ones. My computer fan ramps up a little bit, but now you can see that my GPU starts going lower because my fans within my computer is lowering the temperature of my GPU, right? So again, amazing piece of software. You guys need to be using this regardless of whether or not you want to make FC25 better or any game better to make your computer perform the way that it should be performing, right? So again, be sure to watch the video. It's amazing. It's going to explain to you guys perfectly how you're going to want to set each thing up. I'm not perfect at these things, but I do the best that I can, right? So fan control is going to be another program that you can set up, right? And you're going to adjust it according to what you see like how you see your computer responding to certain temperatures, right? You're going to see yourself. You're going to be like, okay, I'm going to go into my settings over here. Oh, okay, so when my computer is at 21.6 degrees, or not 21.6 degrees, sorry. When my computer is at 60 degrees, I'm going to operate at 31% capacity. And you could see that's the average of both of the things that I have set here, right? So it's amazing because now my computer is so quiet, but look at my GPU temperature being significantly lower while still recording, right? Because I still had the other setting configuration, which is this one, right? And that's the one that I have set when my computer feels like it's too loud while playing FC. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends, right? Like for me, I found the perfect area for my computer, and it was basically this new one. This one performs really well for like Call of Duty, FC. I can play at like a lower GPU and get pretty consistent frames for the most part. So again, be sure to download this one. Amazing piece of software, and watch the video, okay? It's going to teach you guys a lot. Okay, now we're going to start moving into your RAM speed, okay? So your RAM in your computer, guys, you're going to have a certain RAM that's going to have a specific speed, right? And this guy, you're going to watch this video and he's going to tell you everything perfectly, okay? Basically, in your BIOS, when you start up your computer and it basically tells you, oh, would you like to enter your BIOS by pressing F2 or delete or whatever, and you go into your BIOS. A lot of the times with your computers, you are going to have the setting for your frequency of the RAM set to default or auto, right? Which is not going to be the frequency of your actual RAM. For instance, for me, when I loaded up my BIOS, my RAM was set to 2400, right? My RAM is not 2400, it's 3200. So I had to go into my BIOS and change from 2400 to 3200. So this video, you guys should subscribe to this guy because he actually does a lot of really good videos for PC. But for this video, you guys are going to check it out. He explains it perfectly, 4 minutes, super fast. And it's basically just going to teach you how to set your RAM speed. XMP, I'm not really sure what is, to be honest with you. The PC guys will tell me what that is. I mean, I could have searched it, but I just set the RAM speed and that was good enough for me, right? So I set the RAM speed. XMP, not really sure exactly what that is, but the RAM speed we definitely set up within the computer. And now it's set to that, right? The way that you can check this, guys, and again, I don't want to show too much of my computer just in case, like, private things pop up, right? But you go into your task manager and then you go into your memory, and your memory is going to tell you what your RAM speed is set up as, okay? So again, make sure you check out within your computer what your RAM speed is. The way that I check my RAM speed is with NZXT-Cam. I can literally just go to NZXT-Cam and it shows me all the specs of my computer, especially my RAM. But you can check out your RAM in like different ways. So I'll be able to teach you that as well. And it'll tell you the number specifically of what the speed is. Mine is 3200, so I set up as 3200. So make sure that you do that as well. For this next video, basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be setting up an initial size and a max size for your RAM. Now, in this video, he's going to teach you how to go to the specific area to adjust those speeds, right? Like you'll see it over here at some points that he goes into his advanced settings, and then he goes again into the advanced settings, and then this is where he sets his speeds, right? So for him, he has the initial size to 4096. Don't watch the video entirely because I think he may have done this incorrectly, but he's going to teach you how to get to this part specifically to show your virtual memory. And then people in the comment section actually told him that he was doing it incorrectly, I guess, with his max values, right? He basically teaches you how to do it over here, right? So whatever amount of gigabytes that you have with your RAM. In my case, it's 64, right? You're going to adjust your initial size by doing whatever your RAM size is times this value right here times this value right here, and then you're going to add that value into these values over here, right? And then you're going to do the exact same thing from the max size with the gigabytes of RAM that your PC has. Same thing with the 1024, but this time you're going to do ×3 for the max size, and then you're going to add that for the max size into, I believe it's your C drive, or not, I believe it should be your C drive, because you should not be doing stuff on your D drive for any of this stuff, right? But yeah, you're going to be doing that to your C drive, and this one definitely noticed a difference for sure. When I did it to my computer, I don't know, it could be placebo, but for me, it made that difference, right? So again, be sure to check out the original video. He will tell you exactly how to get to that specific point, but make sure that you read the comment section to put these specific values over here, depending on your computer again, okay? So this one is going to be another video that I ended up watching where this guy basically like disables a couple of things within his computer to allow him to get better FPS, right? Because from different videos, some people say, oh, you should turn on your game mode. Oh, you should turn off your game mode, right? Everybody's always inconsistent with that. For me, I find the best results by having the game mode off for what I want to be able to do within my computer, right? So again, every computer is different, man. You guys have to experiment, and he's going to tell you which to experiment, right? With the game mode to turn it on or off to see which one gives you more FPS, so on and so forth. He does a lot of testing for CSGO specifically, right? But all of these initial tests to show you like the NVIDIA settings, to show you like how you should disable your privacy settings, turning game mode off, what you have on your second monitor, all that kind of stuff, on installing apps. He's going to explain all those sort of things. Honestly, there's like a few different videos that you can watch of this, but you have to be careful of which one you follow, because sometimes they're going to kind of collide with each other. Like there's one setting specifically that he puts here around this area right here, where it's the shader cache, right? So the shader cache part, guys, what you're going to want to do with that specifically when you're watching this video is you can set it to 10 gigabytes. There's no problem with that whatsoever, right? But if your C drive in your computer has a lot of storage, like for me, I have like 300 gigabytes left, I put my shader cache size on the global setting to 100 gigabytes, because I remember seeing another video where the guy's like, if you can do that, just put it to 100. And it might be one of these videos that I'm showing you guys, to be honest. It actually might be the first video that I showed you where he says to do that. Just do it to 100, right? If you have the storage. Like for me, it ended up working out. 10 gigabytes might be perfectly fine for you as well. But basically in this video, he's going to be going through the NVIDIA settings that you're going to want to use globally. So globally is basically with whatever game that you play, and he's going to go through them. There's one setting here that he has off, which is going to be the I forget which setting it is. It's the high latency one, or the low latency one, right? Where it's which one is it? It is low latency mode, that one, right? So he has that one set to off, right? But for us playing FC, you're going to experiment with on, and we're going to talk about it because it's in this Reddit post basically, right? This Reddit post right here where this guy is basically talking about it. It's him experimenting with the game with low latency mode on ultra or on or on off, right? But he says specifically that if you do not have a G-Sync monitor, right? And I'll be leaving a link to this one as well, right? If you do not have a G-Sync monitor, then experiment with on, right? I personally set mine to on, and I'll show you guys my NVIDIA settings afterwards, and it ended up working out for me. The ultra doesn't make sense because in this video here, he's going to explain to you that it all depends on the settings that you have set within certain games, right? So for instance, it makes sense to use low latency mode off when you have certain settings on within a game. For instance, in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Warzone, you have a specific setting that's called NVIDIA plus boost or something, right? So a lot of the Call of Duty guys, when they're showing you the graphic stuff, they actually have the low latency mode off, right? And this guy in this Reddit post, right, he explains that the low latency mode to turn that setting to ultra, but it's only if you have G-Sync, right? If you don't have G-Sync, then you just set it to on. I don't have G-Sync. I only have FreeSync, which I mean could help my computer. You know, it's more experimenting that I would have to do, but I don't have G-Sync, and G-Sync and FreeSync are two different things. Okay, so I just set it to on, and it worked out for me. Okay. If you have G-Sync, then you can experiment with putting it to ultra and then following what this guy says over here. Okay. Again, it all depends on your PC build. It's all different. I don't like these videos where people are like, oh, this is the one setting that you should use. No, it's all different for everybody's computers. Okay. That's why this video is going to help you guys a lot. I'm telling you, man. Okay. So make sure that you experiment with that. Okay. It's going to be very, very helpful, but watch this video. There's a lot of points that you can do. The CS2 stuff, you don't really have to like look into. There's like a couple of other stuff like deleting more files that you can check out, the boot options, the corrupt files that's within your computer, maybe the C drive, disabling SM, I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. A debloated NVIDIA driver. For some people, that could be an issue with their computer not performing optimally, right? So he teaches you how to basically uninstall and reinstall it if that's your issue, but it's not really an issue for me, so that's why I didn't really need to do it. Maybe at some point I will, who knows? But I didn't need to, right? And you might not have to either, because that's more work and it might not be your main issue, right? So yeah, be sure to check out this video. Definitely helpful as well. Okay, so the next thing that you guys want to do, honestly, you don't have to delete and reinstall it. If you have the game already installed, it just has to be on your C drive, okay? Make sure that it is not on your hard drive. Most people, they will give you the recommendation of making sure that you download your games to your SSD. I believe it's called a solid state drive. Make sure you download your games to your SSD because that's how your games will perform to the maximum of its capabilities, right? As far as I'm concerned, right? I don't really download games on my internal hard drive. I usually use the internal hard drive to download my music from Spotify, to record my videos, to render my videos and put it in there. All that type of stuff. I do not use the C drive for like storage and stuff. The C drive is for gaming. So when you guys install FC25, make sure that you install it to your SSD. Okay. Okay. Now this one, guys, is going to be one of the important ones. Okay. Because this is what I rant about on Twitter all the time. You guys remember that gameplay patch that EA added into the game a month ago or a month and a half ago, right? Okay. So basically what these guys on Reddit found out, right, was that the lag actually comes from the anti-cheat. So when I tell you guys, and make sure that you're listening to me when I tell you this, okay? Apparently, you could, maybe, it hasn't happened to me yet, and there's no way that I was going to play without adjusting this, right? But apparently, if you delete this folder, there is potential that you could get banned. But here's the thing. If you don't ban, or if you don't delete this folder, right, you're just going to have this lag that EA basically added into the game from that one gameplay patch, right? So you're going to see that it's from the anti-cheat. Basically, what this video shows is that you go into the anti-cheat folder, you delete the entire folder, you open up your EA app, and then within your EA app, you know, the game shows up on the left-hand side. You click the option to repair, right? So if you guys take a look at this video, he's going to show you exactly what he ends up doing, right? So he goes into the AC folder, all this stuff that you see here, he's going to delete all these things, right? So all that stuff is going to be deleted. He's going to go into the EA app, and then from the EA app, he's going to repair the game. Sometimes you could just like right click it, excuse me, and it'll give you the option to repair. Once you repair the game and the game is fully repaired, right, you're going to see that he's repairing the game. You can kind of come back to it. What does he end up doing? Anti-cheat automatically installed older version. Okay, so it installs the older version of it. That's what the fix is, I guess, right? And then you can actually load up the game. There it is. Yeah. So I'll be leaving a link to this one as well. This is one of the main ones. Like I said, it could potentially ban you guys. I had to do this as well for it to give me the older version of the anti-cheat, because this was literally the reason why it was doing the specific lags during the gameplay, right? So this do it at your risk, but I did it because there's no way I was going to play with that new lag that they added into the game, which they have not fixed yet, by the way, because I tweeted at them as a reply on Twitter, and a bunch of likes on that tweet and no response. So just letting you know, okay? So make sure that you do this if you're willing to potentially get banned, which is, in my opinion, I think a very small percentage, but that's what I read from people. As a content creator, there's no way I'm playing without doing this adjustment. There's no chance, right? I don't even know if they know how to fix it, because they don't know how to fix anything, but this is a big one, okay? Oh yeah, by the ways, that's from the EA app. If you downloaded the game on the Epic Games launcher or the Steam launcher, and if that problem still exists there, because I only have experience with the EA app specifically, right? If that is still a thing in those applications as well, you're going to have to go through Reddit or the forums to see how you can do this exact same thing that this guy did for the EA app, for Steam, and for, I believe, Epic Games has the game on their software or on their platform as well, right? I did see one Reddit post that explained how to delete it on Steam, which is apparently way more complicated, I think, but you're going to have to search that up if you still feel that lag within your game, right? And you could do this after I show you all the settings to see if that's like the main reason or not, but for me, it was one of the main ones, so just letting you know. Okay, guys, we finally get into some of the juicy stuff, all right? Some of the stuff where we start getting into the game now, okay? This was one of the original videos that I watched when I was trying to figure out this issue that I've been researching for days, okay? All right, so this application, you guys are also gonna wanna add into your computers, but when you add these applications, make sure that you are downloading both MSI Afterburner as well as Riva Tuner. Riva Tuner, when you download Afterburner, it actually shows up in the download section, right? So in this video, this guy's going to show you how to download MSI Afterburner itself. And then it's going to show you that as you're downloading it, Riva Tuner shows up as well. And you need to make sure that you're downloading that as well. It needs to be both of these files in one. And honestly, like, this thing is a game changer, right? When you're playing specific video games, especially if you do not have higher GPUs, higher CPUs, all that kind of stuff, right? So make sure that you download both of these things. This guy is going to essentially give you the rundown of what you can do to your games to give you what we are going to be calling frame time, right? Frame time is going to be the key word that you guys need to listen to, because that's what's going to give you the smoothest performance for you to be able to play the game and not stutter, right? That's why his title is called Stutter, and that's why this program is incredible to this day, right? This is the line for the frame time, and I'm actually going to give you guys a custom MSI Afterburner display so that you can do this in FIFA or FC, and then you can kind of just see it for yourself and then adjust the settings accordingly, right? But make sure that you download both of these applications. You can watch this whole video for him to show you what he does to fix his game to have a completely flat frame time, which is basically no stutters, just a smooth experience. Be my guest, you could do that, but I do need to show you guys some other settings as well, okay? By the ways, guys, from both of these programs, they're going to have settings within the programs that will tell you to start them on Windows startup, okay? So it'll be for both the for the MSI Afterburner as well as the Riva Tuner. I think in this video, he actually shows Riva Tuner, so you can see it over here. Start with Windows. So that way, if you guys are just gaming on the computer and you want the setting to be set up right away and you don't have to like open it individually, it just starts up. So you can do that with Riva Tuner, and then you can do that with MSI Afterburner as well. If you go to the settings of MSI Afterburner, you can start it from the Windows startup as well. I think he may show it in this video, but there's also other videos that can easily show it to you as well, okay? So just make sure that you do that so that you don't have to like always open it yourself, to make sure that you set the frame cap that we're going to be talking about. Make sure you guys are watching this video, man, because listen, it's many pieces to a puzzle, because I would fix something and I'm like, wait a second, no, it isn't. And then this guy, like, it's always these guys has pieces to a puzzle, okay? You need to adjust these two settings in MSI Afterburner because something influences the FPS within both of them, okay? So the first thing that you are going to want to do is watch this video that is going to tell you to adjust your power display settings within MSI Afterburner. Okay, so you guys will see in this video that he is going to disable the power and the power percent part of the display settings within MSI Afterburner because it influences the FPS like crazy, and it influenced me. And I was like, oh my goodness, like MSI Afterburner is just not going to work for me. And then I found this video and it fixed it. Okay, so make sure that you turn those things off when it comes to displaying these things on your screen. You do not need to see the power stuff. Okay, this is basically like a long issue of a thing that just basically causes micro stutters in your computer. And you know, bless this guy's soul for making this video, because he essentially just tells you all you need to do is just turn it off in your display and you fix it, right? You can see that this guy he says the same thing, or this was his post, but he basically just had a conversation with people through Reddit where he was getting micro stutters, and then people were telling him, yeah, it's actually from your power display settings within your MSI Afterburner, right? So make sure that you disable those in your display settings so that you do not deal with that. Okay, so make sure that you guys watch this video. You honestly don't need to watch this full thing, no offense to him, right? Because he explains like his troubleshooting, which is basically what I did for 3 days to get all these settings right. But you just have to go to the part where he shows you the solution, right? So it's not here, it's this part right here, 6-year-old problem. And this is the part right here where he actually goes into the settings and shows you how to disable it. So make sure that you do that as one of the things for MSI Afterburner. Okay, we got another video here. This is gonna be from the MSI Afterburner as well. So this is from Hazardous. So Hazardous made a video of him talking about like what he did for his adjustments with Riva Tuner, as well as the windowed borderless adjustments. And what he does here for his settings, we're going to go into FC and actually show you. So he basically just puts everything on low, half frame rate for cutscene quality, and he sets his refresh rate of his monitor to 144. The refresh rate of the monitor is going to depend on what the highest refresh rate of your monitor is. Okay, so if your monitor can cap at 300 hertz, but you can actually reach that because your computer allows you to reach that, then cap your refresh rate to 300 hertz. If you guys need to do it within the files, right, which you are going to actually have to do, because sometimes, and this has been a thing for years, by the way, sometimes the game itself is glitched when it comes to what the actual refresh rate is, right? So make sure that you're on windowed borderless, because it's very important to mention this for the MSI Afterburner settings, right? But basically, if you want to change the hertz of your monitor, if you cannot do it through here, you go through these settings like this, right? So essentially what you would do is you would follow basically this, right? So users is whatever your username is through your C drive, right? App data, local, EA Sports FC 25. You open the FC setup folder or the FC setup file with notepad or notes. You go specifically to the part where it says refresh rate, and then you save it to whatever your refresh rate is. And then on the top left corner, you just press file and then save. And then you can just exit out of notepad and it'll save on that, right? So basically, that's what you do to actually adjust your hertz. But you'll see here that his settings in general is all on low, off, all that kind of stuff, right? But he is using the MSI Afterburner as well as the Riva Tuner statistics server, because he's playing on the windowed borderless adjustments, because there is also another setting that you guys have to change to allow your windowed borderless adjustments or your windowed borderless gameplay to be better, okay? And it's basically the NVIDIA reflex, right? So it's this part right about here, right? So he'll go into his actual settings where he's in the Riva Tuner. He presses setup. Again, you guys will see these videos. And then he just has to scroll down, and then where it says enable frame rate limiter, because we are going to be limiting the frame rates, he switches it to NVIDIA reflex, right? I think initially it was on AMD. I guess that'll depend on whatever GPU that you have, I guess, right? But yeah, I have an NVIDIA card, so that's why I'm using NVIDIA reflex. But I guess if you have an AMD, you would use an AMD. But yeah, very important for the windowed borderless settings. And I think that's pretty much all he does. He just adjusts that part. It's just that part right there that he changes. And then he also does an overclocking of his controller. I try to do this, but it makes my controller way too hot and it just doesn't feel worth it. So I personally just didn't do it, even though he has it set to just 1,000. Maybe 1,000 would be good enough, to be honest. Does he have it set to 8,000? The guy, the video I watched, the guy put it to like 8,000. Maybe that's why my controller got too hot. But yeah, we'll talk about this afterwards though. But yeah, in Riva Tuner, this is where the adjustments are going to be made after you guys adjust those settings for Riva Tuner in your actual setup. The next thing that you guys want to do is you're going to want to set up your own overlay. So it's funny because when I was watching this guy's videos or video, I was doing each individual thing myself, but you can actually import his overlay onto your setup, right? And I am going to do the same thing for you guys because the overlay that we have set up is going to be a different type of overlay to actually test games properly, because what we're looking for is a constant smooth frame time when it comes to playing games, right? So that your game is as smooth as possible. So I will be leaving an overlay down below for you guys to import into your MSI Afterburner settings. So again, be sure to actually watch this video. You could skim past it a little bit, like quickly, just to get to the point of where he shows where you can export and import the layers. So in the layouts right here, you'll see that at the end of the video, he's going to show you how you can import. You see the imports part right there? You're going to download that from my description, from the one that I created, and then you're going to import it for your MSI Afterburner so that you can see your own frame time. And then it's just going to judge your CPU, your GPU, not my stuff, your stuff, okay? So that way you can kind of tell where your frame time and stuff is at that point. So again, be sure to watch the video so that you can kind of get to that point and just import what I give you so that you don't have to watch this whole video and just, you know, like it'll put it you should watch the video so that you can basically edit your own, because it's amazing to have something like this. But just for us to have it on FC, make sure that you do this, okay? Because with MSI Afterburner, he'll teach you to set up a button, or I think the other guy, the English dude, actually teaches you to set up a button where you just press the button and the display shows up and then doesn't show up, right? Like for me, I have it on one of my G keys over here, so I can just press like this button and my display will pop up. But I'll show you guys that afterwards as well, okay? So again, be sure to watch this video too. So I want to just show you guys like Crassie's video just as an example. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your NVIDIA control panel, right? Once you go into your NVIDIA control panel, you're going to go to manage 3D settings, and then you're just going to put these settings, right? Because there's some settings that we ended up changing, right? So if you guys were watching the video, the low latency mode, we're testing on because we do not have G-Sync. If you have G-Sync, right, you can test it on Ultra, but I do not. So that's why I'm testing it on, and it works out for me. So again, this is why I'm telling you guys, it's always different for different setups, right? OpenGL rendering GPU, put it to your main GPU, right? So in my case, it's the 2080 Ti until we build the new PC in the future. Power management mode, prefer maximum performance. Preferred refresh rate is highest available. Texture filtering, anisotropic, something like that, on. And then the other settings is going to be this one, right? So we have high performance on quality, and then trilinear trilinear optimization on. This has worked out so far for me. There have been some people on Reddit that do their own settings as well, and you guys can definitely try it out, because again, it's always different for everybody. Because I did actually try out this one as well, and this one worked out well too. If you feel like you can potentially push more FPS out of your game, try to adjust some of the NVIDIA settings depending on the computer that you have, right? So again, this guy uses low latency ultra, but I think a lot of people that end up putting low latency ultra don't really know what it does. Like that one video that I showed you guys, like the guy talking about what it does, right? So again, it'll depend on whether you have a G-Sync monitor, or you could just try it out anyways to see if it actually works for your PC on Ultra. You could try it out on. Off might not be ideal for FC. For other games it would, because you would actually put the setting in game to be on NVIDIA plus boost, but you don't have that setting in FC, I don't think, right? But yeah, these are all the things. So yeah, very similar with the settings. They're very, very similar to each other. So it kind of makes sense, right? So, threaded optimization, I think the dude that was talking about the 121 frames per second, like he had that on as a global setting. So that's going to be on as well. And then vertical sync, people have turned this off. Some people have turned it on and it helped them as well. But for the most part, the pictures that I just showed you guys, that's what I have been using. You should try those out first when I show you guys the settings for what we do inside of FC25, okay? Okay, guys, so I have the thing set up over here so that you guys can basically see all of the settings that I have set up, right? So if you guys watch the videos properly, right, MSI Afterburner, the display of Riva Tuner is displaying in the middle of the screen right now, right? So what you guys see at the very top of your screen is Riva Tuner displaying all of the settings of my computer, my CPU, my GPU, all that kind of stuff, right? My fan control is being operated in the background so that it can control the temperature of my GPU and my CPU, right? So what is the one thing that you guys are noticing so far from this layout that I created, right? You're noticing that one line at the top, right? So that line is the frame time, right? And the frame time is basically the thing that allows you to see how smooth your game is going to operate. And you can see there's little bumps that pop up from time to time, right? You're going to notice those bumps more so in the menus because the menus are going to lag in general, right? So if we go to kickoff and we do all this stuff, you can see that it starts to bounce up significantly, right? Because it's the menus going through. This I don't blame them for, right? Call of Duty is the exact same. Most games are the same. They just lag a little bit before they go into the lobbies. Not all games, but for the most part, these games, yeah. So what you want to do is you basically want to go into your game, right? And you want to test the performance of your game. That's basically all you want to do, because you are going to set a setting for each of the games that you play, because sometimes the FPS doesn't have to be maximized for every single game the way that it has to be maximized for FC, because this is where optimization comes in, right? So you could see that I already have this set up for my computer in the way that it works with me recording in the exact same time. You can see that I am recording, but my GPU still goes to 74 degrees because I have fan control installed and I can control those fan curve speeds, right? What you guys are going to notice is if I go to select sides and I let the AI play, I want you guys to see the frame time at the top, right? So it's going to lag sometimes because we just reset basically, right? But what you're going to notice is that for the most part, it's very smooth, right? The gaming experience is very smooth, very responsive. But you have to be very mindful of this. So this is going to be different for every single build, because what do you guys notice on the left-hand corner? I have FC25 set up, right? You guys see this right here. So this is where it pauses the game because I'm on Riva Tuner right now. I have FC25 set up. This is what you should do as well, because you should set up your games individually, because some games will be able to perform at a higher frame rate compared to FC. If you don't want to do all that, you can just go to your global settings, right here, and you can just set the FPS at first to 120 if you want to. Global is basically any game that you open up, it is going to be capped at 120 frames. Now, the reason why people do this, even if they have a monitor that has like 144 hertz, is because of the performance of all of the components within your computer, right? So you guys are noticing that when I cap my FPS in FC25 to 100, which is going to be different for everybody, right? I get the smoothest frame time, and the frame time is that line that you see at the top, right? You want that line to be as smooth as possible. Like those little bumps is perfectly fine. Like it'll do that more in the menus, because the menus, your fans will actually ramp up because it does more work in the menus than it does in the gameplay, right? So because that is the case, you go back into the gameplay and you just test it out, right? You can see that it's very smooth for the most part. But let's say I were to switch it to 120, right? Let's go to FC25 and switch it to 120. You guys will notice it right away when I enter. Bang. Right? Look at the game now. Smooth, smooth, but there it is. You see the little squigglies? There's an inconsistency to it now, right? So now this is where the stutters come in, right? Now, if I resume the match, you guys will not be able to see this that well because of the Elgato on the 60 frames. Like maybe you will be able to see it a little bit, but on my screen, and this is why I try to tell you guys that the Elgato does a good job of not showing this type of stuff, there are stutters, right? And there are stutters because that line that you see at the top, even though there's not like crazy lag spikes, it's still fuzzy, right? It's that little fuzziness. But this, honestly, for a lot of people, they would be happy with this by itself. But guys, with a game like FC, lowering the frame rate is not going to be a drastic influence to your latency as much as you think it will, okay? To the point where I don't even care about overclocking my controller. So this is where I think all these videos and how they do it is all wrong, because this is going to be highly dependent on your system and what frames you should set up. So again, we're going to go back to Riva Tuner. Okay, let's say I go to 110, right? And I enter that. That's my FPS limits now. I go back into the game. Let's see what the frame time is like. Frame time is not bad, right? It's going to lag sometimes because if you keep changing the frame rates within Riva Tuner, that's that lag spike. You see that right there? That lag spike is because you're constantly changing your settings, right? But there are going to be some FPS limits that you set where those lag spikes are going to happen more often. I think normally when I set it up in Riva Tuner and I always change it, I think the lag spikes come up like 4 or 5 times. That's probably the second time right there. But you can already see that it's still inconsistent for my PC build, right? My GPU is already at 81 degrees, right? By the time it hits like 86 and stuff, now we're moving into a little bit more dangerous territory, a bit more, right? But it just doesn't make sense for my build to do this. But guess what, guys? This is what people don't explain to you in other videos. It's a combination of everything, because my fan control and the way that I have my PC set up is that I have my fan curve speed set up a specific way, right? So that when I play at 100 frames per second at 144 hertz, like I said, if you go into the settings, game settings, you go to display, same exact things. By the way, you could put your frame rate on the cutscene quality to full. That's actually not a big deal at all. But if you keep it on half, it's honestly up to you. When they do the little cutscenes, it's nice to have it on full whenever that's possible, right? The little spikes that you see, they happen more in the menus. The menus are very cooked, you know? But windowed borderless, 144 hertz, right? In my file, because listen, this number that you see here on the refresh rate, that's not always accurate. So make sure that you go into your files like I showed you guys earlier and make sure that you specifically set it to your max refresh rate. Again, if your computer can get there, okay? So yeah, no a limit on FPS, full frame rate, I have that low, but you could put this on half if you really want to, entirely up to you, but it's on windowed borderless, okay? So again, we go back into the game, resume match, drop the controller, let the AI play, and just watch your gameplay, right? So you can see that lag spike happened again, because again, we keep switching the Riva Tuner settings, but now you can see it's way more consistent. If you sometimes get those little bumps that show up, guys, it's honestly not a big deal, because look at how much more consistent it is, right? The lag spikes, again, they happen more often because of Riva Tuner, but I also need to mention, very, very important to mention, okay? Because it's a huge hardcore fact about this game. These lag spikes that I'm showing you within Riva Tuner, right? Because I have to reset the game, to be honest, to like really get it at 100 frames so that I'm not always constantly changing it. Like for me, I figured it out for my system, 100 frames is good, but for each person's system, it's always gonna be different. Like I said, if it does it like 4 or 5 times at some point, it just kind of like levels out, but it's better that you restart the game once you find out the general area that it should be in, right? But again, every system is different. It doesn't make sense for me to tell you guys, hey, because some videos that you watch that people explaining Riva Tuner, they just tell every single person, you guys can just set your FPS to 120. No, because you guys can see that if I set mine to 120, my performance is no longer as good, right? For FC 25 specifically, because on Call of Duty, it's fine, right? But it just depends on the game that you play. But you see the frame time, you see how smooth it is. That's how you kind of want it to be. Now look at what happens if I set the frame rate to 0, which is basically uncapped, right? Because the limit that you have in your FPS within the game is no limit to FPS, because you're going to do that yourself in Riva Tuner, right? If I go to 0 and my global's on 0 as well, right? And I go back into the game, and I go into the gameplay, the latency becomes better, right? Which is the responsiveness, but the game itself becomes laggier. This is where the stutters come in. This is where the lag comes in. This is where your game is no longer smooth, right? If I give it the 4 or 5 different lag spikes, eventually it'll get to a point where it just can't do it anymore. Look, I'm at a point where now I'm at 153, but then I was at 90. You see that inconsistency of the frame rate? You see that stuff? That's what you don't want, right? Like, and you guys can probably see it on the screen right now how much worse it is now just from me recording, right? But again, I have figured out my fan control speed, right? My fan curve speed that I want, where I want each individual digits to be, and then I can change it whenever I want to. And all I have to do is set up the FC25 settings file, put it to 100 for me, because it works for me. Some of you guys might be able to put 120. Some of you guys might be able to put 110. Some of you guys might have to go lower because your build does not allow it for you, right? Maybe your build has to be 60 FPS, 70 FPS. But the FPS cap is going to give you that smooth frame time that you guys see at the top, right? And that is going to be the most important thing to give you guys a smooth experience. Because look, and it's not going to be perfect because I keep resetting it with Riva Tuner, right? But if I go to select sides and I play the game myself, and this is without overclocking my controller, right? The game is fine. These lag spikes, again, this is from Riva Tuner, right? Because I keep resetting it. But if I start the game initially on it, then I'm chilling, right? And now I can play the game. Well, he's offside, but I can play the game normally now, right? My skill moves will pop up, all this stuff. I'll even like refresh just to show you guys. Okay, so this is us restarting the game, right? So this type of stuff, it's gonna lag sometimes. Even this is like actually relatively smooth, right? So this is where you know you found where your FPS is supposed to be, right? But you'll even see my GPU. It doesn't surpass like 75, 74ish because like I said, I got my fan control to a point that I like a lot, right? And that latency that you see at the bottom, you want to do your best to try to get that as low as possible, but to the best of your ability, because you want your latency to be good, but you want your game to be smooth. It's a trade-off between the two. You know what I'm saying? So again, when you're in the menus, you are going to lag. Okay, that's just how it is when you're loading up all the stuff. If you go into Ultimate Team or anything like that, it's gonna do that. The main thing is when you're in the actual gameplay, right? So you're in the actual gameplay, you kick off the ball, you're playing like this. This is what's important, right? And you can see that if I want to play properly, I can play properly, right? Switch to play. And there might be a few settings that I have to like tweak here and there for the most part, right? But this is playable now. Look at my frame time. Look at the way my players are behaving. Skill moves coming off. L1 into a driven, right? A little bit up here. Little skill move, right? Everything is popping off. I'm not lagging like crazy. I'm being, I'm able to time a strike, right? Like you guys saw how many reviews of mine and I couldn't even time a strike. Like timing a strike was the most like impossible thing in the world, right? You just have to look out for these types of things. It's gonna probably, like, I don't know, my OBS is showing that it's like lagging on the screen. No, it actually looks like it's fine. If my encoding was up, then it would be lagging. But yeah, look at my GPU, right? My GPU is at 72 degrees because my cooling in my system is doing a really solid job. My CPU is at 65, and I'm recording at the exact same time, right? If I'm not recording, I'm actually taking off even more GPU. So I can literally, because look, when my GPU is set to here at 76, sometimes my computer can get a little bit loud because it's an older computer. It's like 6 years old, 7 years old now, but it's still a good computer. It's proper enough to play 1080p, right? I could just go into fan control, right? Because I have this set up, but you could save different configurations, right? You go to the top right over here and save your different configurations. In my case, it would be to load up a different one. So I could do new testing. Now my fans, you're going to hear the ramp up, right? Because it's changing the setting. But now my fans are going to be much lower, but I'm still gonna be able to operate at like 84. I would say like 84 degrees. Like that's how much that's how much higher it's gonna get, right? Like in 84, 85-ish. So that way my fans are not as loud, but I could still like play the game and it's not as crazy, right? Again, the lags will happen because again the game itself is poorly optimized, but also because I'm always constantly like changing the settings and stuff, right? But they still have that thing. You could even see, the corner kicks are like a little bit less thing. But yeah, if you notice that, your GPU is high and it's starting to affect your frame time a little bit more, again, you could just go to Riva Tuner. I could set my FPS to 90, right? And then I could see if that works. Here's the thing, guys, is that like with Riva Tuner, it's really interesting because if your settings are set up a certain way with your hertz and your FPS, you actually start to make your frame time less consistent. You could see that it actually becomes less consistent there. I think in my computer, the cutoff is 97, I believe. I think it's like 97, 98. Yes, it's around that general area where it's not being like as fuzzy anymore. Like if I use my fan control on this speed, right? Most of the times I don't change my fan control, right? I have this configuration set up so that my GPU is well cooled off as well as my CPU, but they still perform the way that they should. And then it just works out, right? Like you can see it's like lagging a little bit. So that's when I realize, okay, maybe it's not ideal to use that right now. But the thing is, guys, I've been doing like, I have my Sony Vegas up. Like, guys, what you're seeing on the screen is while having a bunch of things open at the same time, right? So if the screen is lagging for you guys right now from the recording, it's not actually like doing that, and I have a bunch of things open. When you're gaming, you can record, but you got to turn off your Sony Vegas, your Chrome has to be off, your task manager has to be off, right? Your Riva Tuner and your MSI Afterburner can operate in the background, but if not, then it's going to lag. So that's the main reason why you're still going to see like the lag now, because I still have all these things open and I shouldn't, it should just be my OBS recording with Riva Tuner MSI running in the background as well as my fan control. And then I can just play the game normally and be good to go, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. There's not really much else to talk about. There is one more thing that you guys can do if you want. I'm going to show you right now. Brother, there is so much stuff open my computer. My computer is being so slow now. Like, there's a lot, like, that's why I need a dual PC, so that was for content creation. But anyways, you could do this if you want, overclocking your controller. I did this. I might have to do like his specific setting because he only put his to like 1,000. Because when I followed another guy, he put it to like 8,000, and my controller was getting super hot, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to like break my battery for this. I didn't really feel like it was like super necessary for me to get the overclock on the controller. I still felt like it was fine, but if you're really serious, you could do this, right? He says that it made a difference for him. For everybody, it's going to be different. For me, it's more so like I'm not trying to break the battery on the DualSense Edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to do that because that's a little cooked. But guys, that's pretty much it, man. Listen, the video was an hour long, but the video had to be this long. It would have been longer if I went through each of the individual settings like those videos were showing. That's why I try to tell you guys, go watch the videos. What you guys are going to do in this video in your 3 hours, maybe three, I would say 2.5, 3 hours, it would have taken you guys a long time, bro. I'm telling you, because I was doing so much research. I'm talking days, guys, days trying to figure out like how to be able to play the game properly. Again, if you guys saw the settings or the screen and it was lagging a little bit, it's only because I have a bunch of this stuff open, okay? All of this stuff would be closed for me to be able to play the game properly and record at the same time. And for me, my frame rate limit would just be at 100, right? And then I would just have it set up like that. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video today. I really hope this video helps you guys out, because I know for a fact that a large majority of you guys have been facing issues if you do not have better computers. Because people who have
like 3080s and above, like you're gonna be a little bit more fine. You're not really gonna notice as big of a difference, but some of you guys will, right? Like some people, like I said, have 4070s and they can't perform. Their game doesn't perform properly, or whatever it may be, right? So I couldn't cover absolutely everything because there is also like CPU and GPU bottlenecking if your computer is not, you know, optimized with like a balanced GPU and a CPU. Like if your GPU is worse, you know, there's stuff like that too, right? You have to look into stuff like that if that's how your build is. But I wanted to give you guys like the bare bones in this hour as much as I possibly could, right? So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helps you guys out. It's going to take you a while, but it's going to fix your game at least, man. You know, adjust the FPS according to your setup. Do not follow all these videos that are like, yeah, put it to 120, put it to this, put it to that, put it to four less than your hertz. No, put it to where the frame time is the smoothest and where you feel like your input is not the worst. For me, it's at 100. My latency feels fine while I'm playing the game, and everything just feels good. He has his set to 1000 for the overclock, so I might have to actually try this out. You guys can search overclock on YouTube. It'll be anywhere, like how to overclock your controller, and then this setup will pop up. So I'll probably give this a go with the 1000 to see if it works out. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today. I will catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, dudes. Long video. This is probably the video I've worked the hardest on ever in my life. And remember, guys, if it still isn't there, it's because this game is poorly optimized, my dude. It was a brother. I've never had to do so much research for one individual game, brother. Call of Duty, bing, bing, bong, done. This game, oh my goodness, bro. I have to search through I have to dig the deepest of rabbit holes just to play properly. It was insane, man.